London is more than a global city. It's a $1 trillion economy and one of the most influential financial hubs on the planet. But behind that success is a deliberate strategy to keep London competitive, connected, and open for business. I'm Belinda Coates, and this is The Connector. Today on The Connector, I'm joined by Chris Hayward, Policy Chairman of the City of London Corporation, the organisation at the heart of driving international investment and innovation in the UK's capital. Chris, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on the show. Thank you for getting up early for me in Australia.
Thanks, Belinda. It's a great honour and pleasure to be on your podcast.
The City of London Corporation, together with Opportunity London, is about to embark on a global investment tour through Saudi Arabia and Asia, including major real estate and investment conferences like in Riyadh and MIPIM, Hong Kong. Why are these international visits so important for London, and what are you hoping to achieve from them?
Well, Belinda, let me start by saying that London, the City of London in particular, is going through a renaissance period at the moment. We're 25% up on jobs since COVID, and frankly, we can't build tall office blocks quickly enough to cope with the international demand for investment and development. So these visits overseas to the sort of locations you've talked about, be it Saudi or indeed Asia, are critical to us, because what we're doing is targeting inward investors who might want to invest in the sort of environment and the sort of opportunities, the competitive opportunities which the City of London offers. And, you know, we're particularly interested in sectors like life sciences, technology, which is now our fastest growing sector as of last year in the city. Financial services, of course, because that's always been the base, and of course the built environment. So these are very, very important trade visits to stimulate interest in our economy and our city.
London is recognised as a $1 trillion economy, but how do you see the future of investment in London, and why do you believe it remains the best place in the world to invest?
Well, look, I think there's lots of reasons why the City of London is by far the best city in the world to invest in. Firstly, our time zone, our language, and also, I might add, our legal services, which are really in demand because so much of business contracts are written in English law, enforceable across the world, that we find that's a major selling advantage as well. The other thing is that we're more than just a business city, we're a destination city as well. So we have wonderful cultural offerings. As you know, the City of London was the original Roman city. And we find that particularly young people across the world are desperate to come and work here.
What is the City of London Corporation doing to attract and support international investors, particularly those from Australia? You look after us very well, but can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, I can, because, look, Australia has always been a very important market for us. Our Lord Mayor visits, or Lady Mayor visits, every year. I should be visiting next year, because I think the COP Environment Summit is going to be held in Australia next year. And there's lots of things that bring us together. In particular, I talk about sustainability, and fintech is aligned between our two countries. And of course, there is an incredible historic relationship between Australia and the United Kingdom as well. So what we want to do, of course, we want to attract Australians and Australian investors just as much as we want to attract any global investors into the city. And for the reasons I outlined, I actually think we've got a really great message to sell.
I'm very biased, but I definitely think you do. If the Australian and the UK economies were combined, we'd actually rank as the world's 4th largest economy. How can our two countries work more effectively together to unlock that shared economic potential?
Well, look, one of the things that we do have is a regular economic and financial dialogue between our two countries, which I think is very important, actually, because obviously we're still very much a financial services capital, the financial services capital of the world. And that financial dialogue is really important to finding commonalities, whether it's in comparing our regulatory services in financial services, digital trade, regulatory cooperation. All these things are important links between Australia and the City of London from a financial services perspective. And you're right, the 4th largest economy combined is a pretty big number across the globe. So Australia, City of London, we want to do more together.
Yes, I'm all for that. For Australian firms seeking a European base, what makes London stand out over other major hubs like Paris or Madrid?
Well, look, I think I touched earlier on the fact of our language. I mean, English is really spoken across the world, much more so than these other capitals. And you talk about the European capitals. I mean, I would say that many of those capitals you've just mentioned are financially over-regulated, and therefore it's harder for businesses, financial services businesses, to really be innovative and entrepreneurial, whereas we have a much more balanced financial regulation in the United Kingdom. And since we've left the EU, we're now in control of that, and we're able, therefore, to be much more globally competitive than we've ever been.
I love the way in London you talk often about partnerships too, and I think that's always been a very strong ethos of London and your success. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, look, partnerships are everything for us. I mean, we work with investment agencies, we work with cities, we work with governments. One of the great strengths of the City of London Corporation that I lead is that we are non-partisan, so we're not party political. And that gives us a huge strength, not just in the United Kingdom, being able to talk to whatever government's in power, but across the globe, because we're not seen as a trade association lobbying for any particular members. We're seen as a convening power, a global convening power for one of the strongest economies in the world.
It's exceptional the way that you focus on good to great. You never rest on your laurels. It's very inspiring for Australians watching on. Where do you see the strongest growth potential in London and the UK? You mentioned life sciences and data centres and technology. Do you have a favourite?
Well, the first thing, let me say to you, Belinda, is that the one thing I never am is complacent or indeed arrogant about the City of London. You know, we have to recognise that we do compete on the global stage. And you're right, I mean, the economy is going more digital. You're right about, we talk about fintech, we talk about life sciences, we talk about technology being the fastest growing sector last year. You know, people like Apple and TikTok locating into the square mile have made a huge impact. Do I have a personal favourite? No, I want them all to succeed. I want them all to come here, and I want them all to grow their businesses in the City of London alongside us.
Your positivity is palpable, Chris. The City of London is an iconic global brand. It's really set a benchmark. How do you ensure that brand London continues to carry credibility and global influence?
Well, one of the things, and I know you're very familiar with this, is the Opportunity London organisation, which we are working to make sure that we sell the global city, you know, London as a whole around the world. And they organise numerous trade missions. I go on some of them, as many as I can. My planning chairman goes on others. And it's important to be out there. In my view, you can't sell your city, you know, from your desk. You have to be out there travelling. I travel nearly 100 days internationally every year. So does the Lord / Lady Mayor. So we are a combined force of covering about 200 days a year of getting out there and making sure the message is always at the forefront of everybody's mind across the globe.
That is an extraordinary commitment, and it's very clear you can see why London is definitely one of the world's great global cities. Can you tell us a little bit about your brand new mayor, the Lady Mayor, the First Lady Mayor, the third woman Lady Mayor, but the first to choose to be a Lady Mayor? Can you tell us a little bit about her, please?
Yeah, so this coming weekend, Dame Susan Langley will be installed as our Lady Mayor for the coming year. And as you rightly say, she's the third woman ever to hold this very ancient office. I think this is 690 something Lord Mayor, started with Dick Whittington, the famous character, and has gone on consistently over nearly 700 years. And Sue will be the first one to be styled Lady Mayor. She is the chairman of UK's Gallagher UK in the City of London, and has been a long-serving director of our Home Office as well. So she's incredibly well connected across financial services and across the city and across government. And we're very excited. I mean, obviously, she's a partner for me to work with as the policy chairman, and we will be working together to build on everything we've been doing in recent years to keep that renaissance I keep talking about. You know, I want that 25% more jobs to be 50% more jobs before I finish. So with Sue and I together, we're going to drive that message across the globe.
It's so encouraging. What are you looking forward to in 2026?
Well, sadly for me, 2026 will be my last full year as policy chairman of the corporation. Yes, it's a 5-year term, and I'm getting towards the end of it. So I'm very, very keen to make sure I go out on a big bang. One of the things I'm most proud of this year is that we've established an investment hub with the government, which is an inward investment hub for financial and professional services, which I outlined to the government 3 years ago that we needed to do this. You know, we need to get our foreign direct investments up in the UK, and we need a public-private sector agency to do it. Government's accepted that, and this will be a partnership between government, the City of London, the regulators, and private business, and I'll be chairing the advisory board. So I want to really drive that message next year. You know, we've got a one-stop shop. We've got, you know, an absolute agency that can be a signpost for everybody who wants to invest in the City of London, and that's what I want to really look forward to delivering in 2026.
Who's not jumping on a plane to London after hearing you speak? You have such a great energy. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. It's an absolute delight to have you get up early in the morning for us today. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Belinda. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you again.
This program has been brought to you by Harper. This is Ticker, and we'll be right back.